Location: outside of the Time Travelers Convention Center. Professor Robby Dash is walking along with his newfound friends, frantically checking his pockets. "Where the bloody heck is it? Maybe it must be on the ship," he said.
You have a ship? You really have a ship?
"Yup, sure do," Robby replied. "Let's head there now. I can show you all my cool and clever little doodads. Plus, what other place could my golden tablet be if not there? Let us be off, chaps." The trio whisks off, and behind Orion and Robby, Nova has secretly stashed Robby's golden time-traveling universe-hopping tablet. She is quiet, because she wouldn't dare bring attention to herself and the new item she had just attained.
Yes! Now I can finally see my mother again, maybe even bring her back,
she thought to herself. Orion looks back at her and gives an affirmative nod.
The Adventures of Robby Dash. The Day of the Dash Part 2. Created by Robert Mitchell.
As soon as they had the time-traveling device in their possession, Orion and Nova couldn't wait to use it to see their foster mother again. They had been without her for 6 long years since she passed away when they were just kids. The professor had promised earlier that this device would allow them to visit any point in history, any area and different dimensions, but he never said anything about the consequences of altering the timeline. Orion and Nova set the controls for 6 years into the past, the day before their mother died. They closed their eyes, held hands, and pressed the button. The world around them blurred and distorted as the golden tablet time machine they had whirled to life. When they opened their eyes, they found themselves standing on the sidewalk outside their childhood home. They ran towards the house, eager to see their mother alive and well. But as they approached the front door, they noticed something strange. There was no car parked in the driveway. Their foster mother had always driven a blue Honda Civic, but now it was gone. Confused, they looked at each other and shrugged off the feeling.
Mom?
Mom.
They shouted as they burst through the front door. But instead of their foster mother's warm embrace, they found only an empty room. The furniture was all still there, but there was no sign of anyone having lived there recently.
Hello? Mom? Where is she?
Nova asked aloud, panicked.
This isn't right.
Just then, they heard footsteps coming from upstairs. They rushed to the top floor, hoping against hope that they might find their mother waiting for them. But as they reached the top floor, they saw a figure standing by a bedroom window, staring across from them. It was Professor Robby Dash. "I'll have you both know I am not pleased with this." "What have you done?" he demanded, his voice low and slightly menacing. Orion and Nova exchanged fearful glances. They knew they had made a terrible mistake. Robby takes back the tablet and attempts to go back to the present. It seems to have worked, but something is wrong. By changing the past, Nova and Orion had erased their own existence from the present. They were never born. And yet, here they stood, trapped in a reality that didn't make sense. Professor Robby stepped forward, his eyes blazing with anger. "I warned you not to meddle with the time stream," he said. "Well, technically I didn't, but I should have. You definitely should have." He points. "Now look what you've done." Orion and Nova backed away from him, unsure of what to do next. They had come too far to turn back now. But they also couldn't stay here, stuck in a world where they never existed in. They needed to find a way back to their own time, back to the lives they once knew. But how could they do that? And even if they succeeded, what would be left for them when they returned? Professor Robby was not happy. In fact, he was livid. Two of his new-found friends, Nova and Orion, had taken his prized time-traveling device without permission and had gone back in time to alter events. But their meddling had caused a rift in the fabric of space-time, and now they were disappearing. Then, minutes later, they were gone, erased from existence. "You childish children!" Professor Robby shouted at the empty air where Nova and Orion once stood. "You have no idea what you both have done. You've disrupted the timeline and put your own lives at risk." But there was no one left to hear him. The two teenagers had vanished into thin air, leaving behind only a faint echo of their existence from their embarked illicit adventure. Professor Robby slumped against his desk, within his green mini-spaceship, rubbing his temples. He knew that he had to find a way to retrieve them before it was too late. He couldn't just let them remain lost in time forever. He began rummaging through his notes and research, searching for any clues that might lead him to the missing teenage troublemakers. As he read through his own writing, he realized that he had underestimated the power of his invention. It was more than just a simple time machine. It was a complex instrument capable of manipulating reality itself. With renewed determination, Professor Robby set out to track down Nova and Orion, armored with nothing but his knowledge of quantum mechanics and a stubborn refusal to give up. He would do whatever it took to bring them back home and restore a balance to the timeline. As he journeyed through the labyrinthine corridors of time, Professor Robby encountered strange creatures and witnessed incredible events that defied explanation, but none of them distracted him from his mission. He was focused solely on finding the two misguided teens and fixing the damage they had caused. After countless hours of searching, Professor Robby finally found a glimmer of hope. A small, flickering light in the distance seemed to beckon him towards a specific moment in time. With quickened pulse, he stepped forward, ready to face whatever lay ahead. And then, suddenly, he was standing in front of a familiar pair of faces. Nova and Orion looked confused and disoriented, but otherwise unharmed. They stared at Professor Robby with a mixture of relief and guilt etched across their features.
We did it.
Nova said softly, her voice barely above a whisper.
I think we changed history.
Yes, you did, Professor Robby replied sternly. Now we need to figure out how to undo the changes and get you two back where you belong. Orion nodded vigorously, eager to make amends for their actions. Together, the three of them set out to repair the damaged timeline, knowing that their success could mean the difference between life and erasing timelines for millions of people. As they worked tirelessly to correct the course of events, Professor Robby couldn't help but feel a sense of pride in his two misguided teenage acquaintances. Despite their mistakes, they had shown remarkable resilience and resourcefulness in the face of adversity. And who knows? Maybe this little mishap would turn out to be a blessing in disguise, leading to new discoveries and breakthroughs that would change the world for the better. Only time would tell. To be continued.
Hi, you've been listening to The Adventures of Robby Dash, Episode 2, The Day of the Dash Part 2, narrated by none other than Professor Robby Dash, featuring characters of blue-haired Orion and pink-haired Nova, characters and story created by Mr. Robert Charles Mitchell, in association with Neon Blackstone Studios. Theme song by Siege Beards. This project was made circa 2023. Thank you all for watching.